Small Business Committee will come to order. Today we're having a hearing on the military service to small business ownership, supporting Americans' veteran entrepreneurs. Good afternoon and welcome to all of the witnesses. We have a distinguished panel here today, and I thank each of them for making the time to be here. And I also want to thank my colleague, Senator Pryor, for his leadership on helping get this important hearing underway today and for proposing legislation to strengthen the SBA program for veterans. Our colleague, Senator Shaheen, I know will be joining us, and she also has legislation that she's proposing. And my colleague, the ranking member, I understand is on his way, so we will hear from him when he arrives. The men and women who serve our nation deserve the best opportunities and care when they return home. It's our solemn duty as the U.S. government to meet those obligations to our veterans. And there are significant problems, as we've all been hearing about at the Veterans Administration, and that's why we need to immediately prioritize getting veterans access to health care they need, and at the same time ensuring that the VA identifies the structural reforms that are important to helping our veterans in the long run so this situation doesn't occur again. Today's hearing is about another issue facing our veterans. It's ensuring that they have economic opportunities when they come back from military service. Senator Risch and I want to see more veterans have a chance to become entrepreneurs, to open up businesses and create jobs, giving veterans the training and tools and resources they need to start small businesses and ensure that they will be able to make ends meet. I say this because we know that 75% of small businesses, create 75% of the job growth in America, and we think with veterans at the helm, they will also hire more veterans. They will be able to provide for themselves and their families and transitions back to civilian life. I'm particularly concerned about the amount of new veterans that we are seeing. There are 2.8 million veterans returning from Iraq and Afghanistan. With continued withdrawal of U.S. forces from Afghanistan, the population of returning veterans will increase, and by some estimates, we will have another 1 million veterans over the next 5 years. Last year, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that unemployment rates for post-9/11 veterans was 9%. So that is compared to the national unemployment rate of 7.4. So while there has been some improvement this year in our economy, employment for new veterans remains a very, very serious issue. The Iraq and Afghanistan's Veterans of America, which represent these new veterans, indicate that employment opportunities is the top concern for its members. Today's hearing is about what the Small Business Administration can do to help support small business ownership and entrepreneurial development for our nation's veterans, particularly those returning from Iraq and Afghanistan. We need to give our veterans the chance to become creators. Supporting veteran entrepreneurs will be part of our toolkit to ensure that veterans have a successful transition to civilian life and make ends meet. And we want to make sure that we are helping them become the small business owners of the future. We have lots of great examples. In my state, Seattle-based VECA, which stands for Veterans Electrical Contractor Association, was founded by World War II veterans and has a long history of training veterans. Over the last 10 years, the company has employed more than 300 veterans. And we had a very proud moment at that company a year and a half ago when I was able to take Senator Inouye there, and they were all so happy to be with him and to have their picture taken with a war hero. In 1971, Jim Lea, veterans of the United States Air Army Corps in World War II, which is now the U.S. Air Force, along with Neil Anderson and Jim Burroughs, started another company in Seattle called Cascade Design to better provide mattress and greater comfort for hiking and camping. So a lot of people may know them or have slept on one of their air mattresses. But over the last 40 years, this company has become a household name of innovation and continues to hire veterans as well. Spokane-based Quantum Solutions provides building products and floor-to-ceiling, and Quantum is owned by Dale Storr, a former service member and prisoner of war who was shot down in an A-10 during Operation Desert Storm. He recently retired as a lieutenant colonel from the Washington Air National Guard. And of course, we'll have our own witness here from another witness, Trina Payton, who started a technology company in Lacey, Washington. The Small Business Administration has a number of programs that provide training and resources to our veterans to help them start these small businesses. And in fiscal year 2013, the SBA provided assistance to more than 144,000 veterans through the Small Business Development Center, through the Women's Business Center, and through the Service Corps of Retired Executives called SCORE and the Veterans Business Outreach. I want more veterans to have a chance of getting the support and help through the SBA programs, and I want to explore what we can do to make sure that we are raising the awareness so that veterans know that these programs exist in our country. Again, not every veteran will want to pursue these SBA programs or opportunities, but we want to make sure that they know about them. And I want to make sure SBA programs for those veterans are streamlined so that they are very easy to use once veterans do know about them. I'm pleased that today the SBA will be announcing that they are running public service announcements about these veteran entrepreneur programs on a worldwide armed forces network. This TV and radio network reaches our military bases, and I also urge the SBA to reach out to television stations in military communities across the United States to encourage them to run these public service announcements in hopes of getting the words out. You never know where the next great idea is going to come from, but we know that the talent of the men and women who serve our country is great, and we know that they can add to the opportunities for economic development in our country. Senator Pryor introduced 2396, the Veteran Entrepreneur Training and Opportunities Act of 2014. The bill would expand the SBA's existing entrepreneurial development initiative targeted to veterans, and it would codify SBA programs like Boots to Business and the Veterans Women Ignition and Spirit of Entrepreneurship and the Entrepreneur Boot Camp for Veterans. And so I want to thank him for all of his leadership in trying to make the best of these programs, solid programs, in allowing us to really further communicate the opportunities that veterans have in seeking these programs. Having the specificity and the concrete nature of these programs in statute, I think, will help. So thank you for your leadership with that. So Ms. Payton, welcome. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Cantwell, Ranking Member Risch, and members of the committee. Thank you for inviting me to testify today. My name is Trina Payton, and I am president of ABN Technologies located in Lacey, Washington. I am also a member of Women Impacting Public Policy WIP, Women's President's Organization WPO, and the Washington State Women's Veterans Advisory Committee. ABN Technologies is a veteran, women, and minority-owned company that I founded in 2003. We provide clients with IT solutions in 3 core areas: operational support, hardware and software procurement, and professional services. Today, ABN employs 12 employees, and in fiscal year 2013, we had revenues of $8.1 million. But I would not be where I am today without the skills I learned in VWise and the SBA's Express Loan Program. As the committee considers veteran entrepreneurship programs and how to enhance opportunities for our nation's veterans, I want to discuss my experience with some of the SBA programs available to entrepreneurs. Like many young people, I joined the Army to serve my country. The time I spent in the military opened up a new world to a young 19-year-old from the projects of Los Angeles. My experiences widened the possibilities of what life could hold beyond anything imaginable to me at the time. Once my enlistment was completed, I worked for organizations like the U.S. Army, Nordstrom, and Washington Mutual, until I came to a crossroad that led me to consider opening my own business. Like most people, I had no idea where to start or where to turn to get information. Luckily for me, a few blocks from my Washington Mutual office in downtown Seattle was the local SBA office. I began daily visits to the office during lunch breaks because each time I went, more and more questions were answered, and I generated more and more questions. The SBA is a great resource for information. Well, I took the leap, and in the span of 6 months, I started my business out of my second bedroom, quit my job, and was living on my savings, which I don't recommend. When I started my business, I made good and bad decisions like most startup businesses. However, most of the bad decisions I made were due in part to the piecemeal information that entrepreneurs get, coupled with that soldier's enthusiasm to get things done. I didn't know what I didn't know. It took over a year to land my first contract. From there, I had enough success to sustain myself and grow the business, but without consistent, repeatable results. Frustrated with my progress, in 2011, I saw an announcement for the VWise conference that was targeted for veteran women. It delivered an intensive immersion into entrepreneurship and a chance to be part of an ongoing educational experience and networking opportunities with industry experts. The other critical piece of growing my business was the line of credit I obtained through the SBA's Express Loan Program. As the committee knows, bidding on a project and then attempting to secure financing is a painstaking process. The line of credit that we have through the SBA's Express Loan Program means that we can bid on opportunities knowing that we have the backing when we win. The Veterans Entrepreneurship Act, Senator Shahin's legislation to make this fee waiver permanent, is an excellent idea, one that many veterans like me will embrace. In addition, the Veterans Entrepreneurship and Training Opportunities Act of 2014, Senator Pryor's legislation, to make permanent several veteran entrepreneurship programs such as VWise, Boots to Business, and to double the number of veteran business outreach centers from 15 to 30 over the next 5 years would be very helpful to veteran entrepreneurs. I personally know that many veterans consider starting and owning a business at some point in their career transition, and having resources there to make the connection for them would be a critical component to their decision-making process. As my story reflects, federal programs for veterans have been critical to my company's success. Small business programs, especially contracting programs, have leveled the playing field, allowing veteran entrepreneurs to thrive. As the head of a woman-owned business, I can tell you that access to federal marketplace is a huge issue. That's why I have been a strong supporter of the Women-Owned Small Business Federal Contracting Program. Removing the award caps for WOSB program in 2013, which this committee supported, was a great improvement. The Senate will have the opportunity to improve it further by adding sole source authority to the program. This change would help millions of women break through barriers of accessing federal contracts if enacted. The House version of the 2015 National Defense Authorization Act contains this change. I implore the committee to continue funding VWise and the other SBA veteran entrepreneurship programs for all those people like me who are just starting in a growth plateau or are being challenged by business issues. Thank you, and I look forward to answering any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Payne. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all the witnesses. We so appreciate you being here and the testimony and experience you bring. I want to start with a round of questions, and we'll just go, in order here. But I wanted to start with you, Ms. Dusub, since you'd seen so many people. And my question is on the kinds of veterans consultations you're seeing in the Northwest. Is this people who come with specific expertise that are part of their military experience that they want to try to capitalize on, or are you seeing people who have a variety of ideas and really want the entrepreneurial and access to capital issues and information about that?
Yes, and I'm happy to answer your question. So a majority of the clients that we do see fall into the second category that you mentioned. I get a lot of emails and phone calls with veterans, and a lot of them are post 9/11 veterans, and they just say, I want to start a business, and I really don't know what to do. So it goes anywhere from walking them through here's how you get a license, what kind of business entity is going to be a best fit for you. Let's talk about how much money you need to make to be financially secure in your own self and for your own family and to be sustainable for your business. And then how much is it going to cost you to run a business? What do all those numbers look like, and do those things line up together? And that's really where we go. I would say that's probably 80% or more. I haven't done any, kind of analysis on that, but a majority of my phone calls are that. And then we do see some that come to us that have businesses that are looking to expand. So they need capital for expansion purposes, capital for startup purposes, and then they do have some kind of expertise. I have one guy that was in the military, and now he's working at Amazon, and he does robotics. So he wants some robotics contracting and things like that. So, it is a variety, but I would say most of ours fall into that second category.
And primarily the technical end of help and support first and foremost, as opposed to access to capital.
Oh, yeah. So, the most important thing for us is to make sure that an idea is feasible for somebody, to help them write a good business plan, and to get a good financial roadmap. Because I don't want to help somebody start a business that's just going to leave them 3 years later, 4 years later, and with a lot of debt, and in a worse situation than they were to start with. It takes a lot of time and energy to start a business, so I want to make sure that they're starting off on the right foot, and that they have a real idea that can be successful for the life that they need or that their family needs.
And you mentioned one of the veterans going into the brewing business and having one of the fastest growing breweries. What was that about? Because obviously we have a lot of Northwest breweries in general.
Yeah.
So to claim that you have one of the fastest growing means they're doing something right. What do you think was the success there?
I think it was a few things. They produce a really high quality product. Rich's brother he's informally been called like the brewing savant. They've won some awards for.
What's the name of the company?
Triple Horn. So they're Triple Horn. They're in Woodinville. Tom Douglas wanted them in a lot of his restaurants, and so they're talking about maybe partnering with the Seahawks next year. So I think it's a combination of they have a really high quality product. They work really hard. Rich is a perfectionist, and so is his brother, and so they don't want to put out a product that is low quality. And they've done a lot of networking in the craft brewery world. I think the latest statistics say Oregon has the #1 number of craft breweries, and Washington has the #2. So it's a really competitive field.
And so their background in the military probably gave them that ability to be very drilled down on the specificity that's required in brewing.
Yeah, and that's what Rich talks about all the time. That his relentless pursuit of the best product possible is part of what has made him so successful, and their organization as well. Just staying organized in their back office. Everything they did from the beginning of setting their back office up to be sustainably, successful is pretty phenomenal.
Great, thank you. We'll have more questions, but I want to give my colleagues a chance. Senator Risch?